All right, I was raised Roman Catholic and had fallen away from God for about 20 years. I believed there was a God, but I didn't have the thirst to know him. I lived my life feeling dead inside. Life was okay, but it was hard. I was just there in the world with no direction. I had been married and divorced twice and several broken relationships. In 2015, while driving down to military, I was trying to find a radio station, and I was going through all the stations, and K-Love came on. And a song grabbed my attention. It was East to West. I listened to K-Love all the way down to San Luis Obispo. When I got down to my duty station in San Luis Obispo, I found out that my roommate was a pastor for a church in Bakersfield. We talked all night about God. The next Sunday, I found myself in church. This is the start where God put me on my path to him. I have to admit, I was not all the way in. I went to church on Sunday and I believed in God, but it was still off and on. I would pray and ask God for help, and when things got good, I would say, "Thank you, God. I got this now." Well, as we know, I did not have it. Life was still hard, and I didn't know how to deal with problems that came into my life. I had a short fuse. My relationships were hard. I needed confirmation that they loved me. I would blame everything on being a combat veteran in Afghanistan. This was far from the truth. If a pastor at a church didn't grab my attention, I would wander off. I didn't know what to do regarding help in getting to the right path to God. I needed help. Several weeks had passed, and for some reason, right before bed, I knelt down on my knees, looked up to the heavens, and surrendered myself to God. I said, "God, I know I am stubborn. Please grab me by the ear and drag me to the path you needed me to be." God did not grab me by the ear, but a couple days later, a friend asked me to go to the Outpost church. They said the pastor was really good and felt I might like him. So on Sunday, I went to the Outpost church and met Steve. What can I say? God was at work without me knowing. God put Steve into my life, and we started talking at my house once a week. I brought up that I would like to start a men's Bible study, and Steve's eyes lit up, and I could see the excitement he had. This made me thirst for God even more. Like John the Baptist, I am here to witness and testify about the light that he brought into my life. At that moment, the presence of God in my life was there. We started 2 Bible studies at my house, one's men's Bible study and a co-ed Bible study. I must have had only a sip from the well because my thirst for God is overwhelming. And I find myself talking to people about God without shame. I am no longer afraid of getting into trouble at work for talking to people about God. I am very open. I have opened my eyes and have seen numerous miracles in my life. Some of the miracles have been hard and they hurt, but have brought me closer to God and sometimes leave me speechless. Let me get a little personal with one of the miracles. God opened up a doorway in my mind, and I found out that my father had physically and mentally abused me. 48 years I have had it tucked away and hidden. I was very upset with my dad. I wish he was still alive so I could question him why he did this to me. But I couldn't. One day I was cleaning out an area in a gun safe, and I found a St. Christopher's necklace that my dad gave me right before I joined law enforcement. At that moment, I realized my dad loved me. He just didn't know how to be a parent. At that moment, I had forgiven him, and peace came upon me. If that's not one of God's miracles, I don't know what is. I have been born-again Christian and love to feel him walking beside me. The thirst is getting to know God is bubbling out of me, and there is no holding it in. It's just pouring out. I have asked Pastor Steve if he could baptize me, so I could leave the past and start a new life walk with God. With God by my side and all my Christian friends, I'm working towards my resurrection with Jesus Christ. This is where the resurrection of Jesus Christ comes into my heart, because we are working for our resurrection with Christ ourselves. While looking at a Christian website, I came across this and wanted to share it. Christ's resurrection has been at the heart of the church message from the day of Pentecost to the present. By raising from the dead, Jesus Christ demonstrated that he had cleansed the guilt of our past and is able to help us in our present lives. His resurrection assures us that our future is safe and secure. Without Christ's resurrection, we would have no salvation from sin and no hope for our own future resurrections. The empty tomb is guaranteeing the future resurrection of believers. The resurrection of Christ also provides believers with spiritual power today. The bodily resurrection of Jesus Christ is evidence that God will one day judge the world in righteousness. God is great.